All right, it is Tuesday night. We are a little late for another episode of Goal Horns and Fight Songs, but that's because Wes was trying not to unbuild his house and unalive himself. Little issue there on his side, but he's safe and sound. The only thing I wish that would happen is that stupid hat got blown away. Uh, but that's a different story. So we finally almost had a full weekend of NCHC hockey. Didn't have CC play, but we did have 3 days of hockey. I think it was CC that didn't play, right?
Yeah, CC had the bye week.
Yeah, so, but we did have 3 days of college hockey. Western and Miami both played on Thursday. Then Miami didn't play till Saturday.
No, Miami played Thursday and Saturday.
That's what I was saying. I was like, Western and Miami played on Thursday.
Yes.
And then Miami didn't play until Saturday.
Gotcha. I thought you were saying that they only played one game on Saturday. Was the way that came
No,
off to my earballs.
no. But then we had regular series, but UMD, North Dakota, Omaha, St. Cloud, rest of the teams. So it was pretty fun. If you got a chance to watch, I watched some of the games. I was mostly fixated on my Bulldogs, even though that turned out pretty ugly. Uh, but a little bit interesting with how things turned out as far as the scores went.
Yeah. I didn't watch a whole lot other than what Western did. I don't know. It was a weird weekend. I got tired. I fell asleep before I really meant to. Um, was just kind of following along on scoreboard watching as opposed to really watching. Um, some ups and downs. I don't want to say anything really super surprising other than maybe the Augustana Omaha series, but Augustana had won the exhibition game they had with North Dakota, so maybe coming in on a little bit of a high from that. And Omaha, maybe they got caught up in a little bit of a Vegas hangover in taking the icebreaker tournament. They kind of got caught napping a little bit. Only scored one goal on the weekend between the two games, and Augustana put up 6 on them. 2 on Friday, 4 on Saturday. And I mean, we've, as much as I've liked what Omaha did with their non-conference schedule this year, this was kind of one of those things where, like, if you're going to schedule teams like Augustana who aren't quite as strong as they could be just yet, you got to make sure you get up for those games as much as you do the icebreaker games, because they can be ones that come back and bite you later in the year, and you're putting, again, some stress on what you can do in the conference by taking early non-conference losses to quote unquote lower teams.
Yeah, I think that was a surprise for what Augustana did, especially you know watching Minnesota play UMD for Omaha to get swept. That's just that's a little cause for concern, at least for me, slightly, for what Omaha has going for them.
I think yes and no. Again, I mean, even though we may not have mentioned it beforehand, like, I think they got revenge a little bit on Minnesota from getting bumped in that first round of the conference tournament last year. And I think they might have literally just been on a little bit of a high, both from that and from winning the icebreaker tournament and getting to celebrate, or spend the first full weekend of college hockey in Vegas. Like, these are all things that you don't necessarily always do, and they're once in, they're individual opportunities that pop up, but you have to be able to come back and get right and settle in and know that the next games are just as important as the ones you played, because the most important game is the next one, right? And cliches are cliches for a reason, because they mean something, and this kind of showed it. Like, hey, you've got to get up for every game because they all count, they all matter. And yeah, you can being in a conference helps you a little bit, but you either at that point you've either got to win your conference or you've got to string together a lot of good wins. And I guess that's the benefit of the conference is you're usually playing a ranked opponent most weekends if you're playing conference play in the NCHC. But those non-conference wins can help you at the end or they can hurt you at the end. And I think that was kind of what we saw with Colorado College last year. They missed it because of a non-conference result early in the year that came back and kind of bit them in the tush there at the end of the year. And Western got a bump from one, going undefeated in the non-conference schedule last year. But yeah, I think
Well,
that's really
and
the surprise on the weekend is that one.
yeah, and Omaha over the last couple of years, they've been very strong in their non-conference, especially playing. Uh, I
They have
mean,
been strong, but their
they
non-conference schedule has not been.
well, exactly, but that's the thing. They schedule the powder puffs of NCAA hockey, and they beat them, which they should playing in this conference, and they're also playing the whole first half of the season at home, basically. Uh, but to lose to a team like Augustana, that's yikes. That I don't know how I feel about them, and I think we were both pretty reasonably high on Omaha coming into this season. And you pull off a performance like that, even after beating Minnesota. Like Minnesota's like, okay, yeah, that's a little bit overachieving than what we thought, but this is this is Jacksonville Jaguars versus New England Patriots type level of.
Mm, Listen, Omaha is not Miami, all right? I would give you if this were Miami versus Stonehill, that would be Jaguars Patriots.
No, that's two monkeys trying to hump a football right there.
I think honestly, the more surprising thing is that Simon gave up 4 goals on 21 shots. He only made 17 shots in the game. I mean, that's defense really doing a good job of limiting the opportunities, but you've got to be able to stand there and get hit by those last 4 pucks. I mean, and Omaha put up 33 shots on the Augustana goalie, and he was in the right spot for every single one of them. So, you know, Omaha's Omaha's a team that they can find those spots where the goalie isn't. It was one of those games where they weren't able to do so on this one. But I mean, Augustana just really took the most of their opportunities and ran with them because that's not, 17 or 21 saves is really not a bad night if you're, a goalie like Simon Latkozy or even, Caden Mbarico or Cam Rowe. Like those are kind of decent nights. They're not overly worked, and they're not struggling to stay involved in the game because they're seeing pretty consistent work throughout the game. I mean, they literally all 3 periods they had less than 10 shots on goal.
And I think Brent had tweeted out after Friday night's game, he tweeted out Omaha just missed their opportunities. I actually think the one goal that I saw that game was Omaha's first. But I'd have to watch the highlights back because you look at the raw box score and you don't know the opportunities that were given up by the defense. And, we all know how good Simon is. He's made it abundantly clear. But were there mental mistakes on the defense where there's 2-on-1s, breakaways, 3-on-2s, 2-on-0s, whatever the case may be? What were those opportunities like?
Right.
So box score can only tell you so much. It depends on the quality of the chance. And that might be more on the team in front of him than him himself. But I'm sure I think it was in Saturday's UMD game. They were talking about Guy on our goalie and they said, I'm sure he'd like to have a few back. And it was the UMD announcers, but the color commentator, he said, well, if you ask any goalie, they'd like to have them all back because they think they can stop them all. And it's like, yeah, that's true. So I'd just be curious to see, go back and look at the highlights of the goals, which I just haven't done yet.
I think that I did. What did I watch? I watched some of Miami Robert Morris on Friday. I went back and watched some of that game. Was it that one? I think it was that one.
Uh,
Because I said something to somebody. Who did I say it to?
Brent.
I'll, either way, I was not impressed
Well, I
with
know you, me,
Miami's
and
play.
Brent. You had sent something or to us.
Let me check. I got quite a few conversations going on. Of course, I can't see my messages right now. That's always helpful. Fucking Christ.
Um,
What was it? Oh, you know what? Was it Paul?
oh, maybe it was.
I think Paul said something to me about that game because I had meant to kind of peek at it or watch it. But dude, man,
Yeah,
Miami
because Brent
looked.
said Brent goes, "Oh, Miami," and then you sent the, "Oh no, we suck again."
Well, yeah, but that wasn't after I'd actually watched some of it. Oof, they were just not. Nothing was going right for them boys. Okay, I just told them I was supposed to watch it, and then I think I fell asleep during part of it because
Mm.
it was just they couldn't get anything going at all. And then they got in their, I think they got in their own way more often in their defensive zone than they got in the other team's way. There's literally, I'm pretty sure, a couple plays where they like ran into each other. It was just a mess. It was same old Red Hawks. Like it was that level of bad.
It was like JV hockey.
Like not quite, man. Maybe Browns level bad. I don't know. But to relate to an NFL team, because apparently that's what we do here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
says the guy who cheers for a team that went 0 and 16.
yeah, but we didn't go 1-31 over a 2-year period
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the
sure.
Cleveland Browns did.
Hey, but their fans got free beer.
And look at us now. St. Cloud, they split with Michigan. That seemed like it was a pretty good series. Michigan coming off of a split the week before with Arizona State. I don't know if it was a true split.
I thought one went to
Oh, I know. One
overtime
went to a
or something.
shootout. Arizona got
Yeah.
the shootout win on Saturday of the Michigan Arizona State series. So, sort of a split to the fans, a split, and then an actual split with St. Cloud. Denver did Denver things.
Yeah.
Couple 5-2 wins. North Dakota struggling early. Um, they played. What did they do there?
They split. They won Friday
No, I'm
and
trying
they
to look at
lost.
trying to
Oh,
look at last. They only played one game with Providence last week. That's right. They played this U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame game, which was only one game, and won
yeah.
5-2 over Providence.
Yeah, that I went on a
I think
rant
we
about.
both did. Um, Providence stayed in the NCHC and swept Arizona State. Maybe a little bit surprising the way they played Michigan. You'd expect maybe they come out with a split there, but Providence able to take both games. Saturday a little bit closer than Friday. Denver again
Hmm.
did Denver things, 5-2 wins over Northeastern. North Dakota a little bit surprising. I think they like squeaked out. They rallied back, being down. I think they were down 2-0 going into the third on Friday, and scored 3 in the third period to steal the Friday game against Minnesota State, and then weren't able to find the back of the net on Saturday.
Yeah, they were shut out on Saturday.
Yeah, a couple
Um,
2 power play goals and even strength to keep. So the power play kept them in the game Friday, willing them to the little rally they had there, and then absolutely just nothing on Saturday.
And I just don't know. I mean, it the tough part is now year two without Mike Hastings as the coach in Mankato. You knew what you were going to get out of a Mike Hastings coach team while he was there. They were always going to be in contention, really good teams. He leaves for Wisconsin. Last year, Wisconsin becomes Mankato East. Uh, they struggle a little bit. I don't know what this class looks like. There was no way to watch that game. That's the tough part about these non-conference schedules is the away games. You can't really watch them. You're only limited to the home rinks. So not quite sure what Mankato has versus what North Dakota has. Maybe Mankato's a lot better. Uh, but that would have been an interesting matchup to watch, both for what Mankato has coming out of the CCHA and then what North Dakota has going into the NCHC season.
Yeah, I mean they were picked near the top of the NCHC. They were ranked pretty good. I think they're still ranked decent. I don't think they fell too far. Um, but again, the early losses, and especially to, I mean they split the weekend, but the early losses don't help. And you want to be able to stack
No.
wins in the non-conference, and struggling to do so early can. But North Dakota is one of those teams for whatever reason we've seen it in the past. Like they struggle a little bit non-conference, but once conference play comes around, like you can't count them out, and they're always right there for the Penrose between them and Denver. Like they seem to be the two teams fighting for it year in and year out. It seems like, and sometimes they share the damn thing. So who knows? But they're always
Yeah,
really good in the conference, and sometimes
I
they take a weird bounce in the non-conference.
I think for them what they do is they've taken a page out of Tom Izzo's book for Michigan State basketball, where his non-conference schedule, he schedules the toughest opponents possible, so he knows where his team's at. And then you get to conference play, you pretty much dominate conference play, and then you make it to the tournament, and then you go further and further within the tournament. And I think that's what North Dakota does, where they try to schedule the toughest opponents that they can in their non-conference because if they win, great. If they lose, well, you know what? We were playing a super tough team. Now we can get that experience into the conference and move that forward and advance, win the Penrose, maybe win the tournament championship. We're more than likely going to get into the tournament anyway because of who we've played, either non-conference or conference, and pull out a win here, pull out a win there. That's going to help in their pairwise anyway. So I think that's the way that they look at it, where we're going to schedule it as tough as possible. See what happens, and then now we're prepared for the conference schedule.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's still kind of gelling, figuring out what the teams are. They're another team. I think they weren't as heavy in the transfer portal this year as they have been in years past, but you're still, new lines are being formed, new pairings on the defensive side, another new goaltender trying to figure out playing at the Ralph, or how North Dakota does things. Both of these games were Mankato, so it's not like the figuring out the new travel schedule, all that kind of stuff
Mm-hmm.
early in the year, just gelling as a team. Um, Western had a little bit of a weird schedule this week. They had one game that counted, one game that didn't, and won both of them pretty handedly. So through the 3 games that have counted, Western Michigan has scored 2 goals at least in every first period. They are currently averaging 5 goals a game. And yes, I'm going to go harder on Western than I have every other thing on here. One, because I was at both of those games, and two, because it's my team. And if you, at this point, if you don't know that that's my team, I don't know why you're still listening to the podcast. But besides
I
the
thought
point,
you were a
thank
Washington
you,
Commanders fan.
thank you for being here. Um, and it's depth scoring again. Like every year, we've kind of heard this for the last 3 years. What's Western going to do losing all that offense? I don't know that that's a question we need to ask every year anymore, because somehow Pat Ferschweiler figures it out. He is him and his whole staff have recruited extremely well. Um, and once again, Western's near the top, if not at the top of the offensive chart. I think right now they're tied for second with like a bunch of teams who are at 5 goals a game. Um, but they have something like, let's check the stats real quick because I did this earlier and then I forgot where I wrote it down.
Nice.
I think something like 16 players have recorded at least a point so far this year. Yeah, 16 players with a point. Only 4 of those 16 have only 1 points. The other 12 have 2 or more. The 2 leading goal scorers on the team right now, one is a freshman, or the leading point scorers, excuse me. One is a freshman, one is a transfer. That being Zach Nearing, the freshman, and Grant Slukinski, the transfer student from Northern, um, both with 5 points. Zach and a sophomore are tied for 3 goals apiece. Zach Nearing, again, being the freshman, Owen Michaels being the sophomore that has 3 goals. So, the younger guys getting it done, and Owen stepping up and taking a little bit more of a role. But again, it's depth scoring is what we're seeing from Western Michigan once again. And yeah, they've had top lines that have had over 100 points, but those weren't the only guys scoring. They were getting goals from everybody on the roster, and they're able to do it again this year. And we're just seeing that a couple guys are a little bit slightly more proficient than others, even at this point in the season. So I think they're going to find offense. The thing I like about this year's team is we have 2 goaltenders. We have a progression for who's going to take over the net next year. Um, I think there's a little bit of a missed opportunity in the exhibition game just because Hampton started the game and I kind of would have liked to have seen him finish it. One, because he had a shutout going, and two, because he just wasn't seeing a lot of work. Through 34 minutes, he had only seen 11 shots on goal. I mean, York University out of Toronto, Canada, only had 16 for the entire game. But it's the idea that I would have liked to have seen him stay in the game just to make sure that like he gets like, hey, you've got to be focused and dialed in 60 minutes no matter what. You've got to fight through the fact that you only saw 6 shots on net the entire first period. And who knows what the rest of the game is going to bring you. I mean, Cam switched in, and in 24 minutes, he only saw 5 shots on net. They end up not giving up a single goal between the two of them, but let Hampton have that entire experience of fighting through that game and staying focused and dialed in and building on that and getting experience of being in college hockey. Now, granted, these are not normal college opponents. They're college kids from Canada, and say what you will about it, but just let them get used to being comfortable in the net. It was a smaller crowd at Lawson, with it being fall break here in Kalamazoo, so really not a lot of students at all around it. Maybe a couple hundred, if that. It was literally the smallest student section I've ever seen. Would just give him those opportunities to battle through some stuff that he may not see regularly, and just build the experience that is going to help him in the future. And maybe you want to just keep Cam loose because he might be getting the start on Saturday, but I think this was an experience that Hampton could have gained from maybe a little bit more than Cam could have. At least on the Saturday game.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Cam's been there, done that. Um,
He played during COVID with no
it,
fans in the stands.
yeah, you can give him a night off And that's the thing with these exhibition games. Like I was at on Saturday, I was at the Gophers' first exhibition basketball game, and there were kids that, they played a lot of their starters. They were playing Bemidji State, Division II for basketball, and starters played, but there were kids that might not get a whole lot of time that they're getting the opportunity to get out there and play, um, and gain that experience. Like it's valuable, especially with Cam. He's coming back. It it doesn't always work out like you think it's going to. UMD, it's worked out, or it had worked out until the last couple years, where we just have a goaltender kill it for a season or two. They play every game. Next guy up comes in, kills it. Next guy up comes in, kills it. And then all of a sudden, you have Stayskull and Thiessen. And Stayskull goes down. So then you kind of have Thiessen and Sandy. And Thiessen is the main guy. Stayskull didn't have that much experience. The only real experience that he had was that like 77 overtime game against North Dakota, because Fanti was he was cramping up after the third overtime.
Right.
Like you have to give these kids a little bit of experience so they're not coming in, uh as Trevor said, shitting bricks before their first game. He's like he hopefully he was wearing brown breezers because
Yes. I
in
mean, technically, yes, he was because Western wears brown
it,
pants.
yeah, but well, away uniforms maybe different because it was at North Dakota.
No, Western's always worn dark pants. We don't wear all whites
Okay.
for any uniform.
Okay. See, and
So it would be either black or
it,
brown.
this is the Minnesotan in me. I'm calling them breezers.
I know.
Everybody else is
Yep,
calls them hockey pants, but
I'm
um,
aware. I knew what you were talking about.
you don't want your goalies to come in unless they're freshmen to come in cold and just scared. They have to have at least a little experience. So I agree with that statement. Just
And
give
I'm
Cam the night off and
yeah,
let
and
it let him fight through it.
and I'm sure the plan like that was the plan the whole time because it was right around the halfway point. I think they gave him a few extra minutes just because he wasn't seeing a lot of shots. But they did, I mean, they did the same thing in the U.S. national team game where it was half and half. Um, so I mean, they've literally each played about the same amount of minutes between. Like Cam has one full game. I think that was the other reason. Like Cam has one full game over Hampton right now. They each got a game in the Ferris series. Cam played Thursday against Bowling Green and was in the whole game. So give this one to Hampton. Kind of keep the minutes at least close. Plus, it's an exhibition game that doesn't really count. Again, let him get the experience of being in net and having a slower night. The defense was actually playing really well in front of him. The defense was keeping guys wide, not giving up the center of the ice very often, and so even the shots that he did see weren't super dangerous looks. Um, but yeah, just give him that full game experience and just keep letting him build experiences and fight through the monotony of there being 5-10 minutes without him seeing a shot game time, watching the guys operate on the other end of the ice and just being like, all right, they could come at any minute. There could be a puck that gets away. There could be, one of our guys eats shit and it's a breakaway without, and you're still sitting there like, oh, they've been down there the whole time. Like, well, I get caught off guard and it's in the back of your net. But I think that both goalies did a good job of not letting that happen. But again, I would have liked to have seen Hampton get the full game there.
And I mean, as a goalie, you kind of hope that you're not busy because that means your team's doing really well and your defense is playing really well and they're hemming the other team in their own defensive zone. yeah, you got to be on your toes because who knows what can happen. Like you said, one of your defensemen falls down. There's a funny bounce. All of a sudden, you got a 2-on-1. You can't get complacent. So instead of picking dandelions, even though yes, I know it's hockey, but playing with the snow in front of your crease, you got to be paying attention. You got to be ready to go at any given moment because that's the way this game is played. Anything can happen at any given moment.
Yeah, you can't be building snowmen out there. All right, let's keep her dialed in. Uh, looks like we're shaping up for another great weekend.
Well, hey, we
Oh
still
yeah, I
got
forgot
one
you.
more series.
I forgot there was one more series. I mean, you guys,
I mean, we tried.
was there really another series? No, just,
Well, I will
at least
say
at least Friday looked like it was a game.
no, it was not.
Okay, well the scoreboard says Friday may
I
have been a little bit more of a game than Saturday.
Yeah, the scoreboard says it was more of a game than it was, but we were down 4-0 after the first.
Hey, battled back. Hey, I will say this.
No, it was we got it to 4-1, then it was 5-1, then we got it to 5-2, and then everybody forgot how to play hockey, and the puck was like, I want to go in the net because I don't want to be part of this game, and it was just weird bounces and everything on every for both sides. It was just a
You,
giant cluster of
you gotta get
hockey.
that figured out. But I will say the one thing that I've noticed about UMD is they do not give up. They will play a full 60 minutes. And I mean, they had one game last year near the end of the season against Denver. You know, they were down, I think, 4-0 going into the third period and somehow managed to tie the game up late and get her to overtime. I think they ended up
Mhm.
losing in overtime. But like, they fought there and got there. And, at some point, these breaks will start going a little bit more their way and they'll start winning some of these closer games, or the bounces will go their way and they'll be in a better spot. But yeah, they're continuing to struggle. Um, I was gonna
They
say a
would,
little bit more offense than they're kind of used to, but not really because you only got one on Saturday.
yeah, and in the pregame on Friday, they with Sandy, he was talking about the effort and how there was no real effort in the Saturday game against Lowell, and you could kind of see that. And they came out. Minnesota looked just like world beaters. Uh, it was a really nice toe drag move. I think can't remember who it was on, but I think he didn't find his jock until the second period. And then I think it was low block or side shot by a freshman for Minnesota. Uh, that opened the floodgates, but there was just no fight back. And in the intermission interview with Dominic James, I can't remember her name. She asked any positives that you can take out of that period. And he goes, not for me. And that shows how much they care. And it honestly, I'm happy he was honest because that's true. There was zero positives. They looked like they just did not want to be on the ice. There was no fight. There was nothing in that team. They came back. They got more physical with the Gophers, which the Gophers do not like to play physical. They are more of a finesse team. Even now in what year 5 or 6 of Motzko, I think 6, after he left St. Cloud, they're still a finesse and skill team, and they don't like to be hit. They battled back. They got one back and gave up, one more, fought back. Then all hell broke loose in the third period, late in the third period. It was like, I don't even know what I'm watching. It's kind of like the UMD Western game from a few years ago where first was like, I don't know what that was, but that wasn't hockey.
That
uh
might still be the best post game conference or like post game summary of all time.
Oh yeah.
Just top notch. I need to find that.
But it
So good.
it did carry over into Saturday, and as confident as I was after watching the Lowell series of, and by confident I mean not thinking that we're gonna finish top three in the conference or anything, but not finishing eighth, seventh, or eighth. I was thinking more middle of the pack. I lost a lot of that confidence because we were so outclassed by this Minnesota team who had just lost to Omaha. And that might have played into it where they were super upset that they had lost to Omaha. And now they're trying to take out this anger on UMD. But at the same time, UMD, we should have been prepared for that and we should have been able to get up for this rivalry because it is, I as far as in-state rivalries go, I think this is the biggest one, Duluth and Minnesota. It's big brother versus little brother. Duke it out. What? How do you not get up for this series? And they did not on Friday in that first period. It was it. I think I actually shut it off for a little bit because it was just that embarrassing. I could not watch it, and um, I I like Dominic James's quote. Um, we are a young team. We have a lot of freshmen on the team. And it's not to say that they don't care because obviously they care. I don't think a lot of the younger players were prepared for the moment. And that does surprise me because at least the Minnesota kids that are on this team have played at the state tournament. They should be ready for that moment. And the the pressure situations, but they weren't. They just came out flat, and um, it showed. And the weekend shows it. But I will say it was fun to see Amsoil actually full and the student section actually full and them cheering. Uh, you don't see that very often at Amsoil anymore. Uh, Certain rules and everything have changed that, but I also think it's a different generation too.
Yeah, I mean things change. There's definitely ebbs and flows. I mean there's ebbs and flows even to the Western student section. Um, it's changed over the years, and how much they pay attention to the game or know about the game has definitely gone through ebbs and flows. It's nice that we're definitely getting good turnouts, but sometimes I would prefer them to be a little bit more engaged and aware of what's going on.
Hmm.
And I mean, I really hope that there's a good turnout against Michigan next month. Uh, I know it's Thanksgiving weekend, it's a home and home, but man, dude, I hope at least enough people are close or decide to stay near campus for Thanksgiving this year and show up in droves for that game. I know the community will come out, but that's another one where I could see it being a light student section, and that place is going to be if it if it's peak Western versus Michigan, it could be just the greatest atmosphere ever. And I think if you don't believe me, go check out when Everything College Hockey was here a couple years ago for that series, and just what that series is and can be here on Western's campus. But I'm hoping they get a good turnout. Let's look at this week's slate of games. See who's. I think most teams are playing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Who's not? Oh, that's right. Western only has a Saturday game. So there's only 8 games on Friday, 9 games on Saturday. Um, Miami versus Lindenwood. That should be an interesting tussle. Lindenwood's got a goalie who was at one point coming to Western, but kind of got lost in the shuffle with all the changes that happened at Northern Michigan and the opening recruitment of a couple guys. So Owen ends up going down to Lindenwood, starting for them. They have a big win this year over Wisconsin. Miami's doing Miami things. Who knows? I mean, they're 2-2 on the season. So those games could really go any way. Um, I'm not gonna pick a winner in that one just because
I just have more confidence in Lindenwood than I do in Miami.
I probably would too. Honestly,
I
I'm tired of beating up on Miami. I'm not doing it. Arizona State making a trip to the UP to take on Northern Michigan, a team that's a little bit surprising with some early success in the year. Where are they at? Let's just take a little peeksy
the
do.
the the basically brand new Northern Michigan team.
Let's see what old Dave Shayak, former assistant coach at Western Michigan and St. Cloud State. Let's see what he's got rolling with the what the hell are they? The Wildcats, the Cougar, the Wildcats. All right,
Yeah, Wildcats.
their mascot's more of like a cougar. They're 1-3. All right, I was expecting them to be slightly better. Never mind. Um, they have exhibition loss to Michigan Tech. Overtime. Oh, that's right. An overtime loss to Colorado College, a straight loss to Colorado College, a win over Anchorage, and a loss to Anchorage. Um, not bad. Arizona State's kind of really in a similar boat. I mean, they've got maybe a slight. No, I don't care. Stop it. Listen, you colleges and your little pop ups before your freaking sports websites, can you stop with that nonsense? Nobody wants it. Nobody cares what your 35th team did last weekend, okay? They got a win over Air Force, 1-4-1 for the Sun Devils. A win over Air Force, a tie, or then an overtime loss, a loss to Michigan, a tie with Michigan, and swept by Providence. So they're 0 for against ranked teams, 1-1 against non-ranked opponents. So Arizona struggling a little bit. It looks like a team. This could be one that kind of gets them going here, maybe right before the start of conference play. Kind of another pick'em game, really, if you think about it.
Hmm.
The travel is on the side of Northern. They don't have to go anywhere, and Arizona's got to make a long trip both north and east. So those ones can be found
Yeah,
on Midco Sports Plus.
I think yeah, I think Arizona State so far we had a little bit higher expectations for them, but they're kind of falling right where they probably
It
should have
could,
been.
dude. It could be a battle between what is it this year? I think ninth place doesn't go to the conference tournament. Is that what they changed it to?
Did they change that instead of the 8-9 at the one seed?
Yeah, they realized that was just stupid to ask them two schools to travel for potentially one to move on, and was
Thank God.
a lot more work than it needed to be. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's just top eight. I think nine is doesn't play. Um, so
So Miami won't be playing.
let's see how bad Arizona is at that point, right? Maybe they sneak a win or two in there somewhere and steal eighth place. I don't know. They're comfortable in that eighth seed, right? I don't know if they really want to be the first team to be the ninth seed. Augustana stays in the conference and takes on St. Cloud State. St. Cloud State coming off of a pretty big split with Michigan, to two ranked opponents. Can they avoid the trap that Augustana appears to be for NCHC schools, and not pull an Omaha or a North Dakota?
Yeah, I think this one's going to be a little bit interesting. And if Augustana shows up and does well against St. Cloud, I did watch uh last weekend some of St. Cloud's matchup against Bemidji. Uh, I think Augustana could be more for real than we think they are. And it's not so much on the NCHC teams being worse and falling into a trap than it is Augustana actually being pretty decent. Um, so this series actually interests me quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just seems like Augustana. I mean, they're still a new team. They still haven't quite found themselves. And teams, established teams, tend to overlook teams like that. And again, like it could be a big hangover. Getting a win, traveling to Yost and getting a win in Yost is no small task. So
But so the thing with St. Cloud is they're not newbies to playing new teams.
no,
I mean, they Brett Larson knows how to get his guys ready. St. Thomas, their first year in NCAA play, they got beat like 59-1
yeah, but I think
by St.
St.
Cloud.
Thomas has also come in and shocked St. Cloud a couple of times too, including I think last year.
Yeah, but St. Thomas has also gotten better
That's what I'm saying. Like
year
this
by
isn't
year.
this
Yeah.
isn't Augustana's first year, nor do I think it's. I don't think it's their first time getting to play St. Cloud either. But I'm saying like St. Cloud could, the players themselves could overlook it, and Larson could say whatever he wants, but he's gotten caught by teams that are still up and coming and are getting better. And then, that second or third meeting may be the one that Augustana is able to take.
It's Augustana's second year, and I don't think St. Thomas caught St. Cloud in the second year, but Augustana, I'm looking. This is their first time playing St. Cloud.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, so it's their second full year.
But I mean, and
Oh,
Augustin is coming. Let's just say Augustin is coming off a little on a little bit of a roll, and I think you emphasize that if you're Brent Larson, that
hmm
granted they beat North Dakota in a exhibition game, but I guarantee you the boys in Augustana don't give a shit that the game doesn't necessarily count on the score sheet. It counts to them. They know they won. They beat a top team in the country, and then they went in and took out Omaha, who's been a pretty good
It,
team and was a tournament team last
it
year.
and they were number 12 at the
Yeah,
time.
they beat a top 15 opponent.
Yep.
All right.
And
This could be a get right weekend for the dogs now.
it damn well better be.
It could also be a trap game and you could skate right into a fucking sinkhole. I swear to God, dude, if you guys lose or get swept by Stonehill, you will never ever hear the end of it.
I'm gonna turn in my fan card and I am going to cheer for Augustana.
I mean, you could just come over and join the lunatics. There's always room on the lunatics benches. And they're
You don't
already
want me.
they're already number two in your in your
It,
in your you just switch
it,
flip flop them around. Put a nice little W on that one. All you gotta do is just take the M that is the Minnesota Duluth logo right now, and just flip that some bitch upside down, and you got a nice gorgeous W.
the thing is, you said benches. The problem is, you know how well I do with benches.
Ah, no, no, no. These are like seat back benches. They're not flat benches.
Oh, oh,
They're not like
oh,
they're
oh,
not like
okay.
rolly uppy bleachers. These are like
Okay.
bleachers.
So
And you
I'm
don't go
kind of
you don't
forced.
walk up
You
into
walk,
them. You walk down into them, and then you have to walk across. There's no walking like
yeah,
on the
yeah.
seats.
No stepping up the
No, 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 no,
benches.
no, no, no.
Okay, then I might be able to handle those.
Yeah,
Because I was gonna say, you know how well I do
we got we
with
got
benches.
and we got beer at Lawson. Lawson is an alcohol selling stadium. Saying.
Uh, yeah, Stonehill. They're they're in their second year, I think, too.
I think so.
Right?
Second or third.
Yeah, one of the two. Um, School that
Like them,
I don't know, they
Lindenwood and Augustana all came
Augustana.
around the same time.
Yeah, Stonehill, I think they just decided that they were going D1 uh across the board because I remember looking it up uh with my brother driving back from our parents' place one day and like, who's Stonehill? Uh so hopefully it's get right weekend. Um it's gonna say a lot about the team if they even go to overtime with them. I think there's the offense to do it. I do think Guyon is a very good goalie. And actually in the group chat with Trevor, he said, I've heard he's just gross. Uh, the goals he gave up this weekend, from what I saw, not much he could do about them. They were either impossible shots to stop or the defense just completely broke down. So think he should be able to handle it. Don't think there's that much skill on Stonehill, but I could be wrong just because I didn't even know that was a college until 2 years ago.
Right? It is the Battle of the Mavs. Both game. Let's see, are both of them, or is it a home and home? Nope. Mankato
Yeah, both Mankato.
hosts both. But the Omaha Mavericks taking on the Minnesota State Mavericks. Uh, couple former WCHA opponents squaring off
Yep.
again.
Yep.
Omaha's got to be looking to get right after last weekend. You know, Minnesota State, they're playing another NCHC opponent coming off a split with North Dakota, so they might be riding a little bit of a high, getting a sweep on North Dakota, or not a sweep, but a shutout on North Dakota on Saturday. A lot of emotional roller coasters on this schedule here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, those seem to have been pretty good matchups. Again, it's going to be a light weekend for viewing based on just the fact that not a lot of NCHC home teams.
Now Miami, St. Cloud, UMD, North Dakota,
I mean,
Denver,
about half of them.
five. Yeah, about
Yeah,
half.
that's about half. That's how math works. Uh, the Alaska Anchorage ones, I think those ones should be on Alaska Anchorage's YouTube channel. I believe they post their games there. I know they did when Western played there a couple years ago because I watched them on there, and they do a decent job, honestly, for the fact that it's a YouTube production, which I think more schools should go to, really. But
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I
they don't
watched
have
those
those
games and
big.
they did a good job.
They don't have those big network dollars that
North
apparently
Dakota.
uh, and CBS Sports pays out. And luckily, we get a share of the conference funding from that because 2 years in a row they're not coming to Kalamazoo, which is just, it is what it is. I think you're missing out on one of the better atmospheres in college hockey by not showing it off. But also, it is kind of hard to show off the Western Michigan student section with those little bastards in their language. Yeah.
It's innocent enough. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
the FCC would approve it.
I mean, the SEC just won't let us be. There's a little M&M for you. Let's BU making the trip out west to Grand Forks. That should be a pretty good one. What is that? A top? It's a top something matchup. What is it? I think BU's ranked. Yeah, BU's ranked as well. I think they started the year out pretty high, didn't they? Where is it?
Um,
Why don't you just? Why isn't that just like the thing on? Oh, there it is. Why isn't that on your front page? Okay. Yeah, BU is currently number 3, North Dakota 7, so it's a top 10 matchup there. Um, that should honestly be a good one.
Yeah, that should be a good one.
Again, North Dakota coming off of a split with Minnesota State, so they've got to get something going. Maybe this is a game they'll get up for. Um, at that Ralph Engelstad, the place is always bumping. They have a great community that backs that team. Um, so it should be electric for both teams, and should be a great game to watch, or a great series to watch. And that one is on NCHC TV for those not in the Midco Sports viewing area. Or even if you are, and maybe you still buy NCHC TV, that's there. Where
Yeah, that'll be really fun to watch.
all right.
And then
Wisconsin squeaks in
Denver, Wisco.
at number 20. So we've got the last numbered ranked team in Wisconsin taking on the number 1 ranked team in Denver. In Denver. Uh, Denver doing, like I said, Denver doing Denver things. They're currently sitting at 5 goals a game. 3 NCHC teams are currently sitting at 5 goals per game average. Colorado College may be a little sus because they've only played 2 games so far, but Colorado College, Denver, Western Michigan, all at 5 goals a game. What was the other one? Scoring defense here. Western Michigan actually the highest rated of them, only allowing 1.3 goals per game, followed closely by St. Cloud State at 1.6, and Denver allowing 1.75, and Colorado College allowing 2. But again, they've only played 2 games, so take that as you may. However, what was it? Dude, Colorado College has got a nice little offense going right now. I know we're talking about Denver, but where the hell did it go? Oh, points per game. There it is. Noah Laba currently leads the country in points per game at 3. Jack Devine is in 3rd. And then Colorado College and Denver both have a player tied for 4th. Aiden Thompson of Denver and Gleb Vremyev of Colorado College, each with 2 points per game. So, some offenses being created in Colorado. I mean, that feels like it should be a Denver series. It should be theirs to sweep.
Mm-hmm.
Just with the way that the records are right now. But who knows? I mean, Wisconsin, you can't really sleep on them. They're a well-coached team. I
Yeah,
think
they
I
are.
think I think they had quite a bit of transition this year, though. I think was it who's their coach?
Mike Hastings,
I
the old
believe
Mankato coach.
he was on. What was he on? Just hockey with Brent Holden. Brent Holden's got 2 new hockey podcasts out. If you haven't been following him on YouTube, um, after the game, after the game, is that what it is one of them. And then I think Just Hockey is the other one. And Mike Hastings was on, I want to say Just Hockey recently, like within the last couple weeks, talking about the team. So that should be a pretty good one. And then, the one-off game meeting for the first time ever, Western Michigan and BC. This one, to me, I mean, yeah, it's going to be. This one, to me, is the game of the week. Western sitting at 14th, BC sitting at 2. They got 1 loss so far. That's to Michigan State. Western Michigan's 3-0. The brand new defense is playing extremely well. Cam's playing well. Hampton's played well in the game that he played. BC's doing BC things. They're number 2 for a reason. Weird schedule for them though. I don't know if you've looked through their like entire schedule, but they are doing some weird shit this year with their hockey schedule overall. They got a couple weeks where they have like 5 games in 8 days or some weird shit.
Oh, jeez.
Like they play like I don't know what they're doing, but they're playing an abnormal schedule. In fact, let's go. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. Well, not show you, but tell you about it. I'm not gonna bring it up. Schedule. Like they've got. And that's not that one. Here we go. November 8th and 10th. They play Maine. So they goes Friday, Sunday. Then they have one game against UConn on November 15th. They play Providence November 19th. Northeastern November 22nd and 23rd. So there's 3 games
Yep.
in, or 4 games in 8 days, which is, kind of normal, but the fact that it's Friday, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday is weird.
Hmm.
Uh, one game against Dartmouth, the 29th of November. Then they go December 4th against UConn, December 6th against UMass Lowell, December 9th against UMass Lowell. So Wednesday, Friday, Monday. Then they go Friday, Saturday, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday. So there's 5 games in 8 days. Then they have January 24th and 25th, which is a Friday, Saturday. One game against UMass Lowell. The Beanpot weekend, is that usually over 2 weeks? The Beanpot?
I have no idea.
Because they play Northeastern in the Beanpot on February 3rd on a Monday. Then they have a game Friday, February 4th against New Hampshire. Then they have a second Beanpot game on February 10th, the following Monday, against BU or Harvard.
Well, it must be then.
And then they go that Friday, Saturday. Then, okay, that's kind of normal again. Yeah, then they finish the year kind of normal. But a lot of like, I don't know, they just have a weird schedule. A lot of like Tuesday, Wednesday. Let's play one game here. Let's squish some games in here. Like, just their schedule, man.
They just kind of shotgunned it and
Yeah.
threw paint at the wall,
Threw a
see what stuck.
handful of darts at the board and saw where they hit. But no, I mean that game should be pretty good, honestly.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have gone to that one, but that was way too much money for one damn night. I think that deserves a full series sometime in the future. I hope those two
Hmm.
teams connect again in the next couple of years here. But yeah, that'll about do it. I
That should
mean,
do it. Not much else to talk about.
no, if we missed anything, there's some comment sections that you can shout at us about, and maybe we'll respond to you and tell you that we either didn't care or forgot about it, or the gas leak in my house was a little bit more, and I'm still woozy from it. I don't know. Something could have happened. I think I got it all figured out. I think my room's all smelling normal now.
Yeah, just don't unalive yourself or unbuild your house.
No, it should be fine. I mean, the lights are on; they're not flickering, and there's been no small or big kabooms. I did the soap test. No more bubbles being blown. No bubbles. You know what I have not been doing lately? Is saying the phrase at the end of the shows. I realized that it's today
I,
sometime.
I, w- I wasn't about to remind you.
But also, there's been a couple of shows where I'm like over it and ready to get out of here. So, um, no, he's Mike. I'm Wes. We've got some Twitter handles. They're out there. They've been around before. They're not on the screen anymore because we did some swippy floppies with the screen. Actually, mine's still
You
there.
did it.
Mine's still there. It's just really small at the bottom of my name, right there. So if you've got a big monitor or you got really good eyeballs, you'll see it there. If not, you've heard it in the past. It might be in the description of the episode, so it's there to find somewhere. If not, the page, the Twitter handle for the whole show, that's been scrolling down at the bottom, and if it's our personal handles are definitely listed there somewhere, so you can always find them there. There's an email address if it's something that you think we really, really, really need to hear. Or again, you could use the comment section. There's a like, there's a subscribe, there's a dislike button. You can play with any of those in any combination. You could share this to somebody or not, whatever. Um, I think that's it. Yep, that's gonna be it. That's all I got. Until the next episode, remember, Pucks.net. Good things happen, like Go Horns and Fight Songs. I'm on the wrong page and I don't know where stuff is at. Here it is. Bye.